Are electric vehicles a stopgap before other clean fuel sources? As governments try to transition away from oil and gas, are there other fuel alternatives? One such potential fuel is hydrogen. Joining us now to talk a little hydrogen is John Sutherland, the CEO of Alberta H2, who joins us now from Calgary. John, welcome to Bridge City News.
Well, thank you, Hal. Thanks for having me.
So, John, can you share a little bit about how your company started, Alberta H2?
Yeah, sure. Alberta H2 is an Alberta company, and our principal founder is actually a longtime oil and gas engineer who saw an opportunity within oil and gas to produce hydrogen. So he followed his instincts, and we're onto something. We have a patent application in, so we're looking forward to executing on his dreams.
So, John, how plentiful is hydrogen in Alberta and across Canada right now? And where does Canada really rank when it comes to supplying hydrogen?
Well, Canada, it's an emerging industry, Hal. Hydrogen, if you look at the filling stations across Canada, we have, at last count I saw, we had 5. So if you're hoping to have a hydrogen powered vehicle, certainly in 2023, it's perhaps a little bit too soon to find a filling station, but there are lots of incentives in Canada to pursue hydrogen. And, at this point in time, we hear that there's, some of the large industries are really focused on hydrogen production. And I can certainly add to how we're going to play a role in that. It may be small in the beginning, but I can tell you how we're going to do that as well.
So, John, how do you really see hydrogen powering Alberta and our economy in the future? I know we've seen Premier Kenney touring around promoting hydrogen to other markets around the world.
Yeah, hydrogen, I think, has the potential to be a viable, I won't say alternative, but supplement our current energy resources. Our fossil fuels have done as well for many decades, and I think we're going to see that in the decades to come. Really, it's now what alternative energy sources are there out there that can practically supplement that oil and gas foundation. And at Alberta H2, we see a potential niche for hydrogen in this province and in fact, our country. So we're looking forward to, firstly, proving our technology and then hoping to deploy it out there.
So who would you say are some of your biggest clients right now? Which industries in particular?
Well, getting back to where Alberta H2 really started, within, recognizing oil and gas. So the technology, and I don't want to delve too much into it, but that the feedstock for our technology here in Alberta, for example, is actually using what many would consider a wastewater as a byproduct of oil and gas. It gets injected back down into a reservoir, I guess in perpetuity is what the thinking was. We can use that byproduct as our feedstock to produce hydrogen. So, the potential for hydrogen production in this province is enormous. And that's using our type of technology, which is electrolysis.
So now the technology your company uses for creating hydrogen as a fuel, has it been around for a long time?
Electrolysis has been around. The science of electrolysis has been around for for maybe 100 years or more. It's really just sort of in the last, I would say, 10 to 20 years, being recognized as a potential alternative when producing hydrogen. Typically, hydrogen is produced. The majority of hydrogen produced in the world right now is done using methane as a feedstock. Given where we are here in this oil and gas basin in Western Canada, being able to use this produced water or wastewater from oil and gas is allows us to tap into a large resource for our feedstock. And I will add that Alberta H2 hydrogen production through electrolysis is also applicable to seawater. So, this goes well beyond the boundaries of Alberta and has applicability around the world.
So John, let's delve a little more into how your technology can use water from the oil drilling process.
Well, sure. So essentially electrolysis is, if you want to look at it in the most simplistic forms, is applying an electrical energy source to water. And in our case, we have what they call ions in the water, which is really salt. And that salt allows the electrical current to move around the water. And so we're taking advantage of a natural benefit of that produced water to help generate hydrogen production. So the produced water or seawater, when we're able to get to that stage, really doesn't require much of any conditioning. We have a natural electrolyte that just happens to be a waste, or in the case of seawater, something that's in a massive abundance.
John, what do you think has really been the cause for hydrogen to sit at the back of the bus while oil and gas has been steering the bus for so many generations here in Alberta?
Great question, Hal. Well, I mean, when you look at oil and gas, it's a very established technology. The first oil and gas was really discovered over 100 years ago. And so we've had many decades to perfect that and reduce the costs and that type of thing, make it more cost effective. Hydrogen really is, we talked about electrolysis, the science being around for many years, but when you look at the hydrogen production, to really zero in on that from electrolysis, and even using the other technology, getting hydrogen from methane, that is relatively more recently. And so the costs to bring that hydrogen production down we're experiencing that now, but we're going to see more of that into the future before it can become competitive with fossil fuels.
John, is there something that really sets Alberta apart from other jurisdictions when it comes to hydrogen and hydrogen production?
Another great question. Look, I've spent the majority of my career in oil and gas, and I've seen great innovation within this sector. And I believe that anywhere where you have existing innovation and creativity, you have the ability to pivot and also a vision and a desire to try some different things. And so I think Alberta is a terrific arena to test these waters, so to speak.
Now, there's a hydrogen fueling station in North Van and on Vancouver Island. How do you see the infrastructure being built across the country?
Well, there's I've had so many discussions on this. Is it a chicken and an egg situation where if you build the hydrogen filling stations, the hydrogen vehicles will follow? When you look at the other filling stations, they're in Ontario, and we seem to be having those stations positioned probably mostly to deal with large transport, and also in places where there's higher population. So I think you're going to see a gradual spreading out from those larger centers, but I think it's going to emanate from those large centers first, because that's where you're going to have the larger demand with those centers.
Now, is this a fuel that will really be cost effective for both industry and retail customers?
We're again, we're in the midst I would say we're onto something with this. There's been a lot of studies done on the unit cost of hydrogen versus the unit cost of natural gas or gasoline and those types of things, and so getting back to the creativity and innovation, I see those are the types of things that can bring those costs down and improve the product, improve the purity, and help make this viability become a reality.
So, what are you seeing right now from car manufacturers, John, in terms of hydrogen models?
Well, another great question. I was fortunate to be able to present at the Canadian Hydrogen Convention in April in Edmonton, first one, in fact, here in Alberta, and had a chance to tour around the various exhibits. Toyota had a model on the floor there, and had a chance to talk to the people at that particular exhibit. And this Toyota is ahead of the curve when it comes to car manufacturer. Hydrogen produced powered vehicles. And so when you look at where they're at, it's astonishing. A significant range if I can just use the quotes, a tank of hydrogen propels that car over 1,300 kilometers, and that's quite a significant range. I know, there's been a lot of discussion over the battery-powered cars and cold climates and those things, but hydrogen can transcend those. It operates differently.
What would it actually cost to fill a car? Like you said, you get 1,300 K, let's say a car's got, a 50, 60 liter tank. I know it'd be different technology, but what would it cost to fill, let's say, one of those Toyotas you were talking about?
Good question again. So, I don't know what's to blame for the answer to this, the metric system or what have you, but the hydrogen is usually quoted in kilograms, and we buy fuel, as you know, in liters and gallons and things like that. So, but the equivalent cost for a tank to get you 1,300 kilometers is about $60 or $65.
Oh, wow. That's incredible range, 1,300 K. I'm thinking right now with my Chrysler 300 with a Hemi, I'm lucky if I get 350 K, and it costs me about $85 to fill it right now. Now, John, is hydrogen something we could heat our homes and businesses with?
Yeah, another great question. In a prior part of my career, I studied combustion and was part of a business that was our core competency. But I do know that ATCO is currently undergoing a sort of a pilot project near Edmonton to heat a number of homes by blending hydrogen in with the natural gas. So really, it's a great energy source, and I can't recall what the blending percentage is, but it's in the neighborhood of about 20% of the volume. So absolutely, and it's clean. It doesn't require any retrofits to your heating system in your home as you know it now. So quite a seamless exercise.
Now, John, there are a lot of other products that are made from oil and gas. Oil specifically, we think of plastics, we think of driveways, asphalt driveways and so forth. Is hydrogen this kind of substance that can be used as a building block or component like petrochemicals?
When I started my presentation in Edmonton in April, and again here at the Global Energy Show in June, I confessed that electrochemistry was not my strength, and that's why I sided with a founder who has a great strength in this. To my knowledge, Hal, hydrogen does not have that type of versatility. When you look at fossil fuels, some of those molecules are longer than our arms combined. So there's just a lot of possibilities in refining some of those derivatives. Hydrogen, I think the best way I look at it, and I believe this is to be true, is that hydrogen is really strictly an energy source.
John Sutherland, CEO of Alberta H2, thanks so much for teaching us all about hydrogen today and for joining us from Calgary.
Hal, thanks for having me.